Hi, I'm Gavin. I'm going to talk to you now about the third camera that Contact released, and it sort of makes up the original RTS real-time systems lineup. It came out in 1980, and it it's a marvel of engineering, and it was incredibly clever when they released it. So what it is, here it is. It's the 137MD quartz. Let's just have a look. Okay, what makes this camera so unique is it was one of the first that came out with an inbuilt motor winder. So if you've seen if you've got any other cameras of that age and you've seen the motor winders, then you see these are gigantic things that fit on the cameras and do. But this is actually all inbuilt. So the bottom part here of the camera is a motor winder. It only winds the film on, doesn't do the rewind. I think it does 2 or 3 frames a second, but it does. This camera doesn't weigh a ton. It's really quite small. What else have we got here? Okay, so I've got the 139Q, and it's like probably, I don't know, probably about 2 or 3 centimeters bigger. It does feel a bit heavier, but so Contact had they'd done the RTS, which was the professional one. They'd dropped the 139Q into the market, which was sort of like a more, I'm not going to say consumer, because Contact never really made anything aimed at consumers, or it doesn't feel like it. And then they brought out this technical camera. It has the same quartz timing mechanism as the 139Q, so super accurate timing. And then it has the inbuilt motor winder. The MD only lasted for 2 years in market, because what they did, it's literally the laziest camera on the planet. There's no control over shutter speed. It's an aperture priority camera with no control over the shutter speed. So that's it. You can do some tricks with, it's got a lock, and you can do some stuff with that to try and change your shutter speed if you can. So it didn't last very long. It wasn't hugely popular. It's a marvel, but it's not that popular. So what they did, they updated it very quickly. So 2 years later, they released a camera called the MA, and the MA on the left-hand side here has controls for the shutter. I like the look of this camera. It's just so simple. It's brilliant. So I've never bought an MA, to tell you the truth. However, this platform, this motor winder, the MA, the same motor winder, everything, was the platform for something quite unique. Everybody I think it's Minolta, sort of brought the first autofocus camera, film autofocus cameras into market. It wasn't. Contact, or Yashica, developed a version of this that has autofocus and it's not like a chunky thing you build around it. It's in-body autofocus. And there's a link on YouTube. Someone's got one, the prototype, and I'll put a link in the description. You can have a look at it. It's literally this, but with autofocus, and it's got a bit of an extra thing going on here. So they would have been like, if they'd have managed to get that out the door, it would have been the first consumer orientated autofocus camera on the market. Now, unfortunately, Contact's history is littered with things where they were first, but it didn't happen. The reason it didn't happen with the autofocus is due to the fact that Yashica had to re-engineer the lenses. I remember who owns Contact, Zeiss. So I believe that Zeiss weren't quite happy with the tolerance of the lenses. They had to obviously make it lighter. So there's 3 lenses in existence that went on that autofocus camera. And that was the problem. It was the tolerance of the lenses that apparently Zeiss weren't happy with. So they sort of shelved it. I'm sure they would have come back to it. It's too late, because then Minolta released their, I can't remember which one it is, their camera. And literally, if you read the internet, it's like the groundbreaking camera that did everything. Contact later on, Contact actually were the first people to develop a full frame digital sensor camera. Now I wonder, do you think that would have done anyone? But they shelved that as well. So they never, they've had a few misses. They've missed the goals a few times, and they've been on fundamentally massive issues. So they missed the boat on autofocus, and they missed the boat on digital, and they missed the boat on autofocus because they came into market too late with it. It's such a shame, because they make great cameras. So what we'll do now, we'll have a look at this one, quick look around the body. But what I'll do quickly, I'll fire it so you can hear the winder mechanism working. If it does it. Okay, here we go. Let's try and take a photograph off the camera. There you go. That's it. Whizzes round. Anyway, yeah, so let's have a look at this and then we'll come back and I'll finish off. Okay, so here we are. This is the Contax 137MD. Okay, so as you can see over the left-hand side, there's no shutter controls. That's gone. You can't control the shutter. You can do some tricks with the AE lock to sort of try and change it. It's quite complicated though, but you can do it. But it's not something you want to be doing if you're running around shooting. Anyway, so what we've got here is the ISO in here, and you change that by lifting, and then it drops back down. Then if you want to change your exposure compensation, you just click that. It's quite hard to click it, so it's quite good. And then you've also got this mode here, which changes it from auto. X is for one of the flash modes, and then bulb. There we go. So then across the top, shutter shoe, usual. And over here, a few more controls than normal. We've got obviously an on-off switch, big one. So that's it on. Red light comes on for you. Then you've got AE lock, which is quite easy to get to. So obviously if you're shooting and you want to lock your exposure, just push that back and it's there. And then if you go all the other way around, push down, the green light comes on. That's battery check. You can see down beneath here, you've got your frame capture. Then the last controls you've got here is your controls for the base for the winder. So you've got single shot, so you just take a shot and then it winds forward. You've got constant, which basically means if you keep the finger pressed down, it'll it will just keep going 2 or 3 frames per second. And then you've got ST, which I've actually forgotten what it is. I think that's single frame timer. Anyway, if I work out what that is, I'll put it in the comments. And that's it. So I've sort of shot it just now, didn't I, for you, so you can hear what it sounds like. Then you've got this. So you can shoot all the way through it and it'll wind, but then to rewind, as you can see by this, you have to do that manually. And to do that, you lift this flap open, you press that button, it disengages the motor, and then you can wind back this way as normal. So there you go. That's literally the top of the camera. On the back, I've got this. Now this little marker here, it pops up on some of the other Contax as well. That little spinning thing shows you the film is being engaged and being pulled forward, which is nice because it sort of gives you a visual indication when you're winding the film on. On the front, we've got our, yeah, that's right, that's single shot timer. So yeah, we've got our timer indication. Our light goes on when it times it. Then you've got depth of field preview. You've got your standard, hope you can see this properly, your standard, that bit there is your standard release for the lens, and then over here, and then again a control for the flash, and that's it. You see at the bottom here is a great big chunky beast. If you open up the battery compartment, now this doesn't take those those tiny batteries. This takes a good set of batteries. Get this off. There you go. Got cheap batteries in just for demonstration purposes, but you can see it takes 4. What are they? AA's, AA's in the bottom in a sort of like a pod thing. Now the thing to look out for with these, if you buy them, is this: people leave the batteries in forever, and it becomes the Contax rust. I think that's not like a pun or anything, but the Contax, no X, the batteries leak and they rust, so you can get problems with that. And then that pops back in. Obviously this is great though for a modern camera. If you're away on holiday, you can get these batteries anyway, can't you? I mean, some of the funky batteries they put in, I've got to do this wrong, some of the funky batteries they put in the later cameras, that way around, he says. No, it's the other way around, and I've got it the right way up. Some of the funky batteries that they put in the later cameras, you can't, there it is. Some of the the weird small ones you just can't buy. You can get them obviously off the internet, but you can't. And there's a little nail here that you have to, a little lump that you have to pull over to get that in, and then you go back the other way, lines up, shut, done. So yeah, so some of those other batteries that we'll put into the cameras, the weird CR batteries, you can't get readily. So it's great. This is like, take it anywhere, and you can always get batteries for it. So there you go. That's the Contax 139 MD quartz. Okay, so this is the viewfinder view of the Contax 137 MD quartz. Again, quite basic. A little bit of extra information here. Left-hand side, see 23. That's how many frames I've shot. Across the top, if you can see it, again, it's got the aperture. It's currently on 11. And on the right-hand side, it's got the shutter speed. Obviously, as I said, you can't just, let me just change the aperture. You see, there you go. So it's a really, it's mechanical, spin it round type one. Nothing extra there. So that's that. So again, basic, nothing super exciting going on in there, but very clear. You've got split prism or micro glass, whatever type of sort of like focus screen takes your fancy. Okay, so that's the Contax 137 MD quartz. Technical marvel, amazing thing. I love using this camera. It's sort of like totally put it in your bag, just go off. You don't really have to think. Its exposure is fantastic, and it does the job. As I said, there's an autofocus version. I think the Swedish Air Force made a modified version with a handle grip, or the MA or the MD. It is, the platform itself is a brilliant platform. It's sort of like an auto-winding film camera that's this big, so it got great use. I mean, again, there's MDs, MAs. They're not hugely expensive, and you've got the use of, it's just aperture priority. You've got the use of all the glorious contact Zeiss lenses, your Sheikah lenses, the adaptable lenses, and the third-party lenses. But no, it's a lot of fun, this. And if I really don't want to think, that goes in the bag. Anyway, thank you very much. Thanks for watching.